excess alcohol and excess sugar. It puts your body on a blood sugar roller coaster and causes inflammation and can really keep you from weight loss. That sugar is a big offender, and where you could have had, a good amount of sugar in your younger years and been fine, a lot of times people really react to sugar in a negative way. And it's causing inflammation and sometimes even some brain fog and low energy levels because you basically crash. Hey friend, welcome to the Menopause Makeover. Do you want to lose weight and keep it off? Are you struggling with stubborn weight gain, trying everything but seeing no results? Do you wake up with big ambitions only to feel exhausted and overwhelmed as the day goes on, leaving your own needs last? Hey, I'm Chris. I know exactly what it feels like to battle the perimenopause spread, that frustrating weight gain that seems to come out of nowhere. What used to work for weight loss suddenly stopped, and my hormones left me sleep-deprived, depressed, unmotivated, and anxious, not to mention dealing with relentless hot flashes. I was a busy homeschooling, midlife working mom and health coach, yet I felt lost when it came to my own body. I wanted more energy, less belly fat, and more strength. I felt powerless. Until I found health strategies to work with my hormones, not against them, I couldn't lose weight, and I didn't even feel like myself. In this podcast, you will find out how to stop the weight loss struggle, why your hormones are all over the place, and how to support them, and how to get healthy when you feel lost and alone so that you can feel good in your body again. Grab your sipper, pop in those earbuds, and let's go. Hey friend, have you signed up yet for the Beat the Belly Fat workshop? This is a free 3-day live event happening May 12th through the 14th, where I'm teaching you how to turn on fat burning in midlife without dieting, guilt, or confusion. You'll learn how to eat, move, and support your hormones so you can finally lose that stubborn belly fat. Go to getyourtrimon.com/workshop and register now. It's free, it's live, and it's going to change the game for you. See you there. Hello, friends, and welcome to Menopause Makeover, aka Honeycast. Why do I call it a Honeycast? It's because my name, Honeycut, has now been shortened to Honey as a grandmother. And so I have just loved having the name Honey. And it also reminds me to bring you guys some sweet truths and tips and hacks for your menopausal years. So that's why I like to call this my Honeycast. Hopefully it will taste sweet like honey to your ears. I guess you don't really taste with your ears, do you? But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. All right, ladies, here we go. We are talking about hormone-friendly foods to eat during perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. And if I were to ask you what you thought you should eat, I think a lot of you would already know. I think pretty much we all know that we need to be eating a healthy diet. What does a healthy diet look like? I'll tell you this, it's not an extreme diet. We can just throw those out the window, at least for now. What we're looking at are going to be your whole foods, any food that is from the ground, from the trees, from the bushes, even talking about our protein sources, our chicken, our beef, our fish, all of these. These are whole foods. These foods are included in what we call an anti-inflammatory diet, or you could say a Mediterranean type diet. And for me, Trim Healthy is really the route that I have chosen for me and all of my clients. And that is because they are using whole foods. And the good thing about Trim Healthy is that we are not restricting foods that people say you should never eat. Now, if something is bothersome to you, then you shouldn't eat it. But we embrace all of the food groups. And then we also do something called fuel separation, which really helps with that fat loss. So for the woman in perimenopause and menopause, things need to be a little different. What you used to eat and what used to work for you probably stopped. That is because of the shift of hormones that is going on. That is because the shift of our metabolism. And that is because we also have a shift in our gut microbiome and really our brain and everything, you guys. So we want to take a look at what are the best foods for us in this season of life. So for me personally, I'll say this. For the last 14, 15 years, I've pretty much been on the Trim Healthy plan with not perfectly, I'm not going to say perfectly, but about 90%. That's a good amount of years to be eating clean and healthy with minimally processed foods, learning how to overcome sugar addiction for sure. I was so addicted to sugar back in the day, and I love it now that I don't even crave sugar. I can have one bite of something and leave it be. That's kind of a miracle. So I've really, worked on this. And what I want to say is it's taken me this long to get consistent. So if you're trying this and it feels overwhelming, I want you to give yourself time. The more you do it, the more healthy choices you make, the easier it will get. You'll figure out how to prep and plan for yourself the more that you're practicing this. So I look at this as a practice. The other thing is I don't necessarily look at nutrition just for weight loss, but I look at nutrition as a way to nourish my body, to give my body everything, the raw materials that it needs so that I can be the best that I am or can be at every job that I've been called to, everything that God put me here on this planet to do. When I'm nourishing my body and I'm moving it correctly, then I am at my highest, or hopefully have the potential to be at my highest to do that. So my vision goes a lot higher than just the way I want to look, the way I want to feel, what the scale number says, how my clothes fit. All of that is important. But I've had to let all of that go, not letting that drive me, because that does not allow me to be consistent. But to keep that higher vision, I am here to nourish this temple of mine. I am here to feed my body well. I'm here to honor my body and honor God with my body and the food that I put in my body. So let's fast forward to what we need to be eating in our midlife season, really, and beyond. And I will say this, because of hormonal shifts, what happens is we become more insulin resistant. And we also impact our metabolism by losing muscle, becoming insulin resistant. And a lot of times, the wrong type of food at the wrong time in the wrong way can cause this to be even worse. It can cause us to gain weight while we think we're doing all the right things. It can cause us to be inflamed. It can cause higher cortisol levels. And all of these issues contribute to not only how you feel, but it does contribute to weight gain or slow weight loss. So because of those hormonal shifts, we've got to be a little bit more particular about making these good choices, and the things that we focus on, we want them to be hormone supporting, not just our sex hormones, but our insulin, our cortisol, our leptin, our ghrelin, all of the hormones that work together in our body. Symptoms that we have in menopause also can get worse with certain foods. Belly fat, hot flashes, brain fog, fatigue. Some of the foods that we're eating are contributing to those symptoms. And so we need to take a look at what is making those worse right now. We also have gut changes, and that sometimes leads to food intolerances, maybe that you didn't have early on and you have now. And how do you know? Normally, you don't know unless you have some type of reaction to a food, or maybe you eliminate a food for a little bit and you see how you feel. Maybe you start to clear up. Maybe you feel less inflamed. Maybe your brain fog goes away. I know for me, with the hot flashes, when I would have certain foods, even coffee, I would have hot flashes with coffee. Sometimes if I had some chocolate after a meal, I would have hot flashes with that. If I had anything spicy, hot flashes. And so I shifted the way that I was really nourishing and feeding my body for a little bit, and then was able to get on bioidentical hormone therapy, and all of those symptoms went away, which is great. But that doesn't mean that I don't need to be careful in what foods that I choose. I happen to have high histamine levels, which is normal for a woman with low estrogen. So I have to be careful about how much cultured foods that I'm eating or high histamine foods that I'm eating. The other thing that happens in menopause is that our blood sugar can get very wacky because estrogen is beautiful at helping regulate blood sugar. And when blood sugar gets wacky, we tend to have higher insulin spikes and more frequent, which cause our body to go into fat storage. So we want to eat in such a way that we are turning on fat burning and not fat storage. So that's what happens to our body in menopause. So let's talk about hormone-friendly foods. First of all, I want to talk about protein. I think that's a buzzword right now because scientifically it's been proven that protein is key for metabolism, for muscle, for blood sugar. Protein is going to be I call it king, king in your diet. It is going to help you become more insulin sensitive. It is going to help with cravings. It is thermogenic. And like I said, it's really going to help with that blood sugar. So you want to anchor every meal and snack with protein. And we have different types of protein. And I like to have a variety. We have complete proteins. We have incomplete proteins. We have supplemental protein. Of course, we have our animal protein. And we have legumes, nuts, seeds. All of those have some protein in them. And it's good to have a variety of protein. So think eggs, grass-fed beef, fish, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, collagen, optimized whey protein powder, and one of my favorites, the Trim Healthy Essential amino acids. All of these are great to be able to get the protein needs met. So how much protein at each meal do we need? As we age, we need more protein. So we're looking at 25 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. And don't forget that snack. And we're going for 4 hits of protein a day, or at least 3 hits of protein. If you're getting your 3 hits of protein, your muscles are getting what they need to get fed, to keep muscle, and even to build muscle. Your protein is also going to help when you have those carbohydrate-based meals or those e-meals. That protein is going to help with that blood sugar regulation with that carbohydrate. The second thing that is very important and has been researched that it actually does help reduce visceral belly fat as well as a host of other things, and that would be adding fiber and especially your fiber-rich veggies. This is key for midlife, belly fat reduction, and overall visceral belly fat, overall fat reduction, and detoxification, and feeding those good gut bugs. Those veggies, we cannot do without them. And I know so many or some of you are like, what can I do? I just don't like veggies. Well, let's talk about that here in a little bit. For now, I think it's good to understand that they really are important. Those fiber-rich veggies, they cleanse your fat cells. They actually help cleanse your muscle cells if you have excess fat in your muscle cells. And that's why we really want to add those veggies at least twice a day. If you can get them in 3 times a day, that would be fantastic. And if you're struggling with getting them in, maybe you can drink them in the form of some type of green powder or something like that. But we definitely need to get them in. But you can also get fiber in with other things, soluble fiber, which would be ground flaxseed, chia seed, baobab is beautiful, psyllium husk, all of those. You can sneak those in your smoothies, your bowls, your salads. So everybody can get fiber in. What about beans, legumes, black beans and lentils, navy beans? They're super high in fiber. So we really want to make sure we're getting upwards to 30 grams of fiber a day. And then we want to talk about our healthy fats. We do need fats for hormone production and brain health, and even turning on fat burning. We just don't need too much fat. Too much fat is going to clog up our fat cells. Too much fat, we're going to store fat. So think healthy fats such as avocado, olive oil, walnuts, salmon, chia seeds, things like that are actually going to have some fiber and lots of nutrients in them. We want to not necessarily eliminate, but we really want to avoid the heavy common dairy fats. They're usually higher in carbs. They're overly processed. A lot of times they cause inflammation in the body, but the fermented dairy is beautiful. It's going to help your gut. It's less inflammatory. And so we want to take a look at those fats, and we want to make sure that we are having our good fats. We just don't want too many. Hey friend, quick pause because I don't want you to miss this. If you've been stuck with stubborn belly fat, following the Trim Healthy plan, but not seeing the scale budge, or just feeling like your body has changed, nobody gave you the memo, you are not alone. That's why I'm hosting the Beat the Belly Fat Workshop, a free 3-day live event made just for women in midlife like you. We're going to kickstart fat loss without deprivation, shame, or obsessing over every bite. You'll learn how to eat and move for the season of life, what your hormones have to do with belly fat, and the strategies I use inside my coaching program to help women finally get results. It's happening May 12th through the 14th inside a private pop-up Facebook group with coaching, giveaways, and real transformation. If you've been wondering what's going on with your body and you're ready to finally feel like you again, this is your next step. Go to getyourtrimon.com/workshop and grab your spot. It's free, but space is limited, and I want you there. Let's do this together. Now we need to talk about those good carbohydrates. Do women in menopause need carbohydrates? The answer is absolutely we do. When we do not have our estrogen anymore, our blood sugar is going to tank. We have higher levels of cortisol, and we have lower levels of energy. And so guess what we need those good carbohydrates for? All of the above, but especially our energy, especially nourishing our thyroid and our leptin levels. Our leptin tells us we're full. And when we don't get enough carbs, our leptin levels get disrupted, and we sometimes don't have a full signal and we overeat. And also, the carbohydrates are going to help lower that cortisol. Now, we need the right carbohydrate in the right setting at the right time. That would be our energizing meal, where we're anchoring that with 25 to 30 grams of protein, about 1 teaspoon or less of fat. We're keeping the fat low, and a palm size portion of your carbohydrate. So maybe it's a medium sweet potato, or it's 3/4 cup of rice or quinoa, or maybe it's a cup of fruit. Whatever choices that you're using for those carbohydrates, we just want to make sure that you're not eating those naked carbs. That can send the blood sugar way up high. Insulin goes up high. Your body goes into fat storage mode. We really want to keep those carbohydrates coming in about half of your meals. So we might choose 2 energizing or carb-based meals a day, and maybe you have either a fat-based or a S-based light dinner. And then for a snack, you could do something like an S meal, a fuel pull, or an E, either one. A lot of people like to switch that around. So don't forget about those good carbohydrates. They really are needed to rev your metabolism and turn on those fat-burning hormones. Now, what other foods are helpful for menopause? This is going to be fermented foods to support your gut hormone connection. This is sauerkraut, kefir. Homemade is best. Honestly, there's not a lot of great brands of kefir out there that have abundance of the bacteria that you need. So kefir made at home is going to be a better choice. Fermented cottage cheese. I love Nancy's and Too Good are 2 brands for their cottage cheese. Yogurt, Greek yogurt is going to be good. It's definitely not as robust as some of these other things, and especially kefir. Your cultured vegetables, there's miso, there's natto, there's lots of options for those fermented foods. So you want to try to shoot for at least once or twice a day where you're adding those fermented foods. I usually will buy sauerkraut or cultured vegetables from Sprouts, and I will have a tablespoon or two a day. I also have my own kefir, and I'm going to tell you the kind of kefir that I make is so easy. Anybody could do it. I promise you. It's called Easy Kefir, and it's from the website culturefoodlife.com, and we'll put that in the show notes. And it is dehydrated kefir powder, and it is easy as throwing it in a jar with low-fat milk and fermenting it for 18 to 24 hours, and that jar will ferment 20 more jars. It is so easy. It is so fantastic, and it's so good for fat burning. It's so good for your gut and more. Now, best foods. Again, I'm going to go back to this. Phytoestrogens, or we can plant kingdom, gentle plant estrogens that support the body. Is this going to cause you to be estrogen dominant? No, these phytoestrogens actually help balance your own estrogen. So that's going to be flax seeds, tempeh, lentils, tofu. These are the foods that are going to support your hormones. And then we really want to talk about those magnesium-rich foods. Our body needs magnesium for over 500 things that it does in our body. And a lot of times as we age, we are low in magnesium. And so magnesium, another thing that it does is it really does help to calm your nervous system. So think pumpkin seeds, leafy greens, dark chocolate. Yes, I love those foods. All right, so make sure those are on your list. So what are we going to cut back or crowd out? Ultra-processed foods ultimately really wreak havoc on our hormones. The ultra-processed foods that you find in packages, all of the preservatives, all of the ingredients, all of that processing just does not serve our body well. So we just want to limit these things. Excess alcohol and excess sugar. It puts your body on a blood sugar roller coaster and causes inflammation and can really keep you from weight loss. That sugar is a big offender, and where you could have had, a good amount of sugar in your younger years and been fine, a lot of times people really react to sugar in a negative way. And it usually that it's causing inflammation and sometimes even some brain fog and low energy levels because you basically crash. The other thing that we want to do is we don't want to skip meals. Skipping meals is stressful for your body. Your body will make more cortisol and it will also have more cravings, and you may not get the calories that you need. Your body needs sufficient calories for the day. Less calories is not best. Less calories tells your body to slow down. So we need adequate calories, and skipping meals is something that you do want to avoid. Now, I'm not in for 6 small meals a day either. Science shows it's best to have 3 to 4 hours in between your meals to help you process your current fuel. And then guess what? You start processing your body fat. Then you refuel again. And so usually giving your body 3 to 4 hours in between those meals gives your body time to have the need to refuel. So let's talk about how to build a hormone-friendly plate. I'm going to show you several different ways. We're going to build an E meal or an energizing meal, and we're going to build a S meal or satisfying meal, which I like to use more of a light S version. So for our E meal, we're going to start with the protein, and this protein is going to be lean. What's lean protein? That's going to be tuna, canned chicken, regular chicken, salmon fillets, not the big thick salmon steaks, but the real small salmon fillets, chicken, deli meat, ground chicken, ground turkey. All of these are on the lean side, and you want to start with a lean piece of protein, animal protein. You can always add some veggies, which we're going to add to that. That's the next thing. We've got our protein. Now let's add our color. Let's add the rainbow. That's going to be your fiber. I want you to have half a plate of veggies. And if you're not there yet, just start with what you like. Just start with one or two things. Then we're going to add our carbohydrate. This is going to be around 45 grams of carbs. That's about what your body can handle and burn through with this protein and your fiber. So that carbohydrate could be a medium sweet potato. It could be purple potatoes. It could be brown rice. It could be quinoa. It could be sprouted bread or sourdough whole grain bread. Want to stay away from the whites, white flour, white sugar, those kind of things. And then we want to add a little bit of fat here. Why are we adding fat? Because the fat is going to help with blood sugar regulation with that carbohydrate. It's going to help your blood sugar not spike when we add adequate fat. That would be about 5 grams of fat or less, or I really kind of like 5 grams, not too much less. And or that's a teaspoon. That's a teaspoon of fat. So this is going to be your carb-based or your energizing meal. So that would be something like chicken. I would do lean chicken. I would add broccoli, maybe a side salad. I'm going to spray a little bit of olive oil. I have a little sprayer of olive oil and throw a few nuts on my salad. That's going to give me a little bit of fat. It's going to give me fiber. It's going to be light in fat. That's going to give me around, my carbohydrate source will give me around 45 grams of carbs. So let's move on to our S meal. We're going to start with the protein. This protein can also be lean, or it can be more of a fattier protein, like a thick piece of salmon or steak or beef, or you can look at the chicken thigh or the chicken leg. Here we're going to add our color and our fiber. Where are our veggies? Plant kingdom, come on in. Let's eat the rainbow here. And here's where we get to add a little bit more fat, because we're not adding hardly any carbs to this. There's some carbs in those veggies, but we're using non-starchy veggies, okay? So we're going to add some healthy fat. And when I create a fat loss plan for my ladies in menopause, we are going more towards the light S. So that's going to be maybe adding a fourth of an avocado. And you can also add some nuts and seeds to that. And we're not going to add a whole lot of creamy, cheesy, but we can do light cheese. We can do a little feta cheese or blue cheese, add some Parmesan cheese. So the fats, we're going to keep them around a tablespoon. And that is just something that I have said, let's try around a tablespoon so that we can quantify it. There's no rules about that. It's just, we don't want to have too much fat where our body is not able to burn through all of that. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of what you want to be putting in your body in the perimenopause and menopausal years. Remember, we don't need to go into that diet mentality. We need to nourish our midlife and beyond body. What does your body need? What is it going to thrive off of? The type of food that I described earlier is going to keep your blood sugar nice and stable throughout the day. It's going to give you the vitamins and the nutrients and the phytochemicals that you need. You're going to anchor it with protein. You're going to have yummy carbohydrates, which are going to nourish your adrenals and your thyroid and your hormones and your metabolism. And you're going to have the light fat that's also going to support your hormones and your brain. So the other thing is, when you are creating your perfect plate, so to speak, you want to ask yourself, where are my veggies? I know I keep talking about this, but having those veggies makes a huge difference in your midlife season. So take a look. Let's do a food audit. Let's take a look at your food. Write your food down for a whole day and go through your breakfast, your lunch, everything you put in your mouth, everything. And see if it lines up with this hormone balancing, hormone friendly way of eating. And if it doesn't, pick one thing you're going to work on. Maybe it is you aren't getting enough protein. You're not getting 25 to 30 grams of protein. Let's start there. After we get that in place, are you having your carbohydrate-based meals? And are they in the right Goldilocks setting? Are we having enough? Maybe work on that. If you're not snacking or you're snacking too much, that would be the next thing you're going to work on. So take a look at what you're eating in a day and pick one or two things that you are going to focus on for a couple of weeks. When you get it dialed in, move to the next thing. That way, this can be an easy transition. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You guys, small changes equal big results when your food is supporting your hormones. Did you know that I have a free community of women in midlife just like you? Busy women who are working hard to lose weight with the Trim Healthy plan but feel hijacked by hormones and unexplained weight gain. I share menopause tips, superfood spotlights, delicious recipes, and so much more. Come join us at facebook.com/groups/get-your-trim-on. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who might be struggling to lose weight in perimenopause or even menopause without confusion and without overwhelm? Also, please leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It blesses me to know this podcast is helping you. Time to grab my protein smoothie and head to the pickleball court. I'll meet you back here on Wednesday for another Honeycast episode. See ya.